Next up, a heartbreaking obstacle, building a love life. And it's because people rotate, there's cheaters, and then the Navy doesn't teach love. You must choose wisely. That's the solution to that. You got to choose wisely. Now, sailors transfer. Not everybody has the same PRD, projected rotation date. Not everybody has that, right? So sometimes you fall in love with somebody or you get to talking to somebody and then you find out in a few months they get orders and they're out. Now, what? Do you maintain that relationship long distance? Do you tie the knot? Things like that. Not everybody wants to do that right away. And so it's hard to keep that love life going. It's really hard to keep that love life going, especially when you really like that person. But what's the feasibility of staying together? Long distance relationships are hard. And then this person I met 3 months ago, they're leaving. Do we get married? Now people rotate. Sailors transfer, sailors separate, sailors retire, and then sailors work at different places. Yeah. And not everybody make those decisions. Some people try to make it work and it doesn't really work out sometimes. Sailors separate and sailors retire. So when a sailor separates or that sailor retire and things like that, the connection that keeps two people together, them both being in the Navy, that common thing, they being in the Navy, once that's broken, right? Now that sailor is separated or retiring, they don't have to stay under those same Navy laws, Navy guidelines. They don't have to be at those same duty stations. They're not connected to the Navy anymore. If that's what connected them sometimes, they're obviously gonna lose that connection, and you gotta fight really hard to keep that up and maintain that. When it comes to working away from each other, when you work away from each other, sometimes it can be a little bit challenging to build because it's a proximity thing. Love sometimes is a proximity thing. I had a friend and he was working like in a strike group with us, and then his wife was working somewhere like NCIS. And it was very uncommon for things like that to work, but they made it work because they really, really, really loved each other. That's not always the case with some people. Some people, when it's a proximity thing, it just doesn't work out like that. It's a huge challenge. Cheaters. You got Jody, you got Julie, you got the men to women ratio, you got the distance, and you got the inconsistent romance. With that, it's always going to be really challenging for a person. So you got Jody, you got Julie, right? Or Julie, whoever you want to call her. When those people are in your life or in your relationship life or in the way of your relationship, and Jody or Julie is usually like a neighbor, somebody in your neighborhood, or somebody in town somewhere, and they are always putting your relationship at jeopardy. And depending on how strong your connection is with your spouse or your partner, whoever the case is, then that determines whether or not acts of Jody or Julie or whoever is going to work. And a lot of times, because you are away and they are right there, they win that because of the proximity law, right? And so another thing is that distance. If you're away thousands of miles on deployment and stuff like that, it's much harder because of proximity. Like I said, love is a proximity thing and it's a challenge. It's really hard for a sailor to maintain that continuity of that relationship, like whoever they're with, right? It's very hard. And especially when somebody is closer in proximity, it's very, very tough. The men to women ratio. The men to women ratio in the Navy it's ridiculous. It's a lot of men in the Navy, especially on a ship. Come to shore duty, it's a little bit more balanced. A little bit, but it's still the same thing. It's still kind of OD as far as the ratio. Say, for instance, if you have a wife or you're a woman on a ship or whatever the case may be, you can bet any amount of money in the world that a lot of men are making all types of offers every day. Every day. I mean, they get real thirsty on the ship. And you could be big, small, you could be short, tall, it don't matter. They will make all sorts of offers. And if your partner is not squared away, if your partner or your connection is not good enough with your partner, they will fall because it's human nature, unfortunately. Then you got the inconsistent romance piece to it. The inconsistent romance piece, imagine you're on deployment for 3, 6, or 9 months. 3, 6, or 9 months. And like, all right, I'm gonna put it on myself, right? I'm not the most romantic guy in the world, right? I have to learn that, reading books and stuff like that. You on deployment for 3, 6, and 9 months, and you're not able to maintain that romance part, right? You haven't mastered that part yet. And then out of nowhere, you're back from that 3, 6, or 9 month deployment. You got to try all over again. it's really hard. It's really hard to maintain that. And then, like I said, with cheaters, like I'm not a judging, right? I mean, I've been on both sides of that coin before, right? Both sides of that coin, so I get it, right? But I will say that a solution to that, the solutions is going to be to stay or make that cut. You have to be aware that sailors deal with that obstacle, cheating and unfaithfulness and deceit and all that stuff. Navy doesn't teach love. The Navy doesn't teach love. We teach how to fight. We teach how to stay fit, how to build resilience, and how to sail. That's what we teach. With that being said, we need to talk to chaps. We need to talk to Fleet Family Support Centers. We need to go to Military One Source and get those relationship classes, especially from Fleet Family Support Center. We need to get books and things like that. You know, like get these books and stuff like that, and that'll help you out too. I'm reading this nice book, 100 Ways to Love Your Wife or your lady. I'm just started, by the way. But you need those things. You need those resources because the Navy doesn't teach that stuff. And if you don't, it's going to be really hard to get over that obstacle. And then a sailor is going to say, all right, well, I got all these problems now, all these issues now with my life. Now, it's the difference between gaining and retain. Gains and retains. Got to know this stuff. It's very important.
Gains and retains. Okay.
If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for listening and watching to this video. Stay tuned for the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as well. Thank you so much. Until next time, Tony Tone out.